Snatch. I have to say I wasn't overly enamoured with this on my first viewing, so when it got picked, rather than a deep sigh of regret or giddy excitement, I was kind of meh about it. I don't remember much about it, except that Brad Pitt has a thick Irish accent, Vinnie Jones is in it, and it's a violent British gangster film in the same vein as Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, another film I'm fairly meh about. Guy Ritchie and crew may not have been nominated for any major awards for Snatch, but with a fairly decent looking cast and a twinkle in the eyes of anyone I talk to about it, maybe my opinion will change over time. Here's my review of Snatch. The story of Snatch is essentially two stories intertwined together with a cast of many players. For this synopsis, I'll try and tell them separately. Turkish and his business partner Tommy are trying to make a living on arcade machines and unlicensed boxing matches. They're coerced into a deal with Bricktop, a ruthless bookie who thinks nothing of feeding people to his pigs. Tommy takes their fighter, Gorgeous George, to a gypsy camp to buy a caravan. They get conned out of their money by Mickey, who challenges George to a fight, which George loses. Bricktop reluctantly agrees to have George substituted for Mickey, provided Mickey goes down in the fourth round. Mickey instead knocks out his opponent in seconds, but instead of feeding Turkish and Tommy to the pigs, he gives them a second chance, saying that Mickey has to go down in the fourth round in the next fight. Mickey won't unless Turkish buys his mother a new caravan. Bricktop instead decides to burn his mother's caravan to ashes with his mother still asleep inside. Mickey then agrees to the fight, with Bricktop setting his men in place outside of the fight and at the gypsy camp. It's then revealed that this is all a setup. Bricktop and all his men are killed and the gypsies run off. It turns out Mickey has been betting on himself the entire time and won in the fourth round to ensure that his friends and family can get their revenge on Bricktop. Turkish and Tommy head back to the campsite, but the gypsies have left. The police show up to ask what they're doing, and Turkish, seeing a small dog, states that they're just simply walking a dog. Tommy grabs the dog and the two head back home. The second story involves an 86-carat diamond and its theft. Frankie Fourfingers flies from Antwerp to London to sell the diamond, but unbeknownst to him, his Russian colleagues in crime have plans to steal the diamond via Boris the Blade, using Frankie's weakness of gambling against him. Boris hires Sol and Vince, a couple of pawnbrokers, to rob bookies that Frankie will be at and grab the case handcuffed to his wrist. In short, the robbery goes badly wrong, and they end up kidnapping Frankie. Boris, unhappy at this, kills Frankie, cuts off his hand, and leaves them with the body. Shortly afterward, Bricktop arrives and announces himself as the owner of the bookies that Sol and Vince tried to rob. They promise him the diamond in exchange for their lives, and set off to steal the diamond from Boris. Meanwhile, cousin Ari, an American who's buying the diamond, is concerned that Frankie has gone missing and that maybe he's gambling the diamond somewhere. He flies over to London, and with the help of Bullet-Toothed Tony, they track down Boris and kidnap him. Boris escapes and heads home to get some artillery, getting hit by Sol and Vince in their car on the way. This results in a shootout between Bullet-Toothed Tony, Boris, Sol and Vince at the pub. Vince and Sol escape with the diamond, but are trailed by Ari and Tony heading back to the pawn shop. The diamond is swallowed by a dog that was given to Vince by the gypsies as part of a trade, and it runs away back to the campsite. Ari shoots wildly, trying to shoot the dog, but misses and kills Tony. Sol and Vince, with bodies in the boot of their car, head to the campsite only to get pulled over by the police. They then look in shock as Turkish and Tommy drive by with the dog in hand. Snatch's story is fast-paced and well-woven together. The two stories cross over only occasionally but seamlessly. In one instance, for example, Turkish and Tony inadvertently cause a crash for Tony and Ari, which has a knock-on effect on their story. I like this, and I would have liked to have seen more of it. I think separating the two and having them just play out one after another may have worked better. Very similar to that Simpsons episode Trilogy of Error.
Linguo! Dead!
Linguo is dead.
The story is also deceptively complicated. I started writing notes during my viewing, but stopped early on as I thought the summary would be fairly simple to rewrite. Upon reviewing the synopsis, however, I had to really think to get the link together. It's a credit to the movie. It's one of those stories that sounds easy to describe until you get into the nuances of it. As far as performances go, there's nothing either outstandingly good or terrible bad. I really like Vinnie Jones as Bullet-Tooth Tony. He's a natural hard-man gangster who you wouldn't think was a footballer at all. He's certainly better here than in X-Men The Last Stand.
Don't you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
Alan Ford as Bricktop is also really convincing. His pig-feeding speech is chilling and he always feels like a threat. Brad Pitt, though, is a conundrum. I can't tell if the accent he's using is really good or really bad. I guess if you didn't know he was American, then you couldn't guess that based on this film alone. I love some of the music in Snatch. Tracks like Diamond and Angel were used really well, and in a sentence I never thought I'd say, an Oasis track is really good. I'm not making this up, it's called F***ing in the Bushes, and it really sets the scene well. It's a song I'm already familiar with because it's the theme tune to TalkSport's Sports Bar. Guy Ritchie directs, and for the most part it's pretty good. Split screens during phone calls are a great idea rather than switching between the two. And there are his signature freeze-frame moments, such as Mickey hitting the knockout blow in the final fight, which emphasise the severity. I quite like the opening too, naming all the characters with a short clip on what they're on about. A bit like Thunderbirds in that respect. Some critics of Snatch say it's very similar to Guy Ritchie's Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. The comparisons due to similar cast, Jason Statham, Alan Ford and Vinnie Jones, as well as story and location are what gets the criticism, and to support that, there's a pair of Scouse thieves in Lock, Stock that I thought would be in this film. It might just be me, but at the same time, I can see why people might get the two mixed up. Overall, I enjoyed my second viewing of Snatch. It's the kind of film you could watch on or have in the background if there's nothing else on. I don't think it's dated particularly well, but that should not take away from your enjoyment. If you want something lighter than The Departed, set in London but still gritty and charming, then Snatch is for you. It's a diamond. Coming up next on the Film Review Open Challenge is Pulp Fiction. In the meantime though, thank you very much for watching.